Welcome back to the Ramen for Art School of Arts. My name is Daniel. I'm the owner and founder. And what you're looking at here is a number of paintings that I've made using the 3/4 technique that I'm about to show you. If you haven't done so already, please take a look at my video regarding drawing the face from the front view as well as the side profile, because this is literally a combination of the two. So I'm going to start off with a circle. This is always what I start with whenever I'm drawing the face. And from any angle that you're drawing the head, you are going to be starting off with the ball. It literally doesn't matter from what direction you're looking at the head. And that's because it represents the cranial mass, the biggest part of it. Then I'm going to do a simple division of thirds, and that's going to help me get a real clear idea of approximately where I'm seeing the side of the face versus the front view. As you can see, I'm taking careful measurements to make sure that those proportions are right, because if I get this part wrong, then the whole thing is going to start to fall apart when I start to get into my features. So going directly across the head, that's going to be the brow line. And notice that I'm again taking careful measurements to make sure that it's a nice even cut between my top and bottom half. So I'm going to continue down on that first third, and that's going to be basically the center line of the features, right between the eyes, the nose, the lips, and the chin. So I want to make sure that that line is long enough to cover all the way through into the jaw. And the next line that I put down is actually the line going across to indicate where the nose is. So I start with the brow, then the nose line, and my last line at the bottom is going to be where the chin lands. I also need a line that indicates roughly where the ear is going to land, and that's why I'm bringing in a line right down the center of the side plane of the cranial mass. Next, I come in with the jaw, which basically consists of 3 lines. I've indicated where my chin lands, and then I'm going to connect the line coming down. A lot of this comes from observation and from practice of drawing the head from various models. So if you don't have anything to actually look at, I highly recommend to pull out a picture that is 3/4 view of a friend or a family member and try to find these shapes. These shapes are the essential form of the head. So these are the major planes, the front plane and the side plane. Soon I'm going to bring in the quarter planes as well, but the core thing that we need to really look for are these basic shapes. So I'm going to mark this down as the head, and then we're going to move into the actual features using a darker pencil. So I usually like to start off by indicating the ear, because if I've got a clear idea of where the ear is, then I can place the rest of the features against the ear. So from here, what I'm going to do is add in the line of the brow. And basically, this is a very subtle curve that goes across the entire forehead. So these 2 lines coming in indicate the side sockets of the eye. And now comes in this plane, which is a better indication of where the front of the forehead is versus the side. So now I'm going to make a subtle adjustment as I roam through the brow area, and I'm ready to start to indicate a little bit better what I'm actually seeing in terms of the sockets. So now a line is coming across, which is going to be an indication of roughly where the eyes land. And this line should be approximately halfway through the head. My next goal is to just roughly place in the nose. You'll notice that most of my lines are very straight, and the reason is because I have never been able to draw curved lines accurately. I don't think any artist, even very, very advanced artists, are able to draw them accurately the first time. So my recommendation is to start off with something that is flat to get an indication of the angle, and then you can curve stuff off later. Now that I have my nose blocked out, I'm going to start to move into the cheekbones. There's an important concept in both portrait drawing and figure drawing, and that's the idea of symmetry, that one side of the body matches the other. So for that reason, we want to draw things in a synchronized fashion where we're drawing both sides at the same time and relating one side to the other. So I'm starting to shade in the eye sockets, and the reason why I'm doing that is that it'll give me a much clearer idea of the shape. A lot of times I have a difficult time seeing something accurately until I actually shade it in. So for that reason, I shade in certain segments where I know for sure is going to be in shadow, and that'll give me a clear idea of where things actually land and whether I've drawn them proportionately or not. Okay, so this would be a really good place for most people to stop and just double check to make sure that things are aligning correctly. Because if the eyes and nose don't look right, then the rest of the face just won't look correctly. The two most important features of the face are going to be the eyes and the nose, and in this case, the eye sockets and the placement of the nose. So you just want to make sure that that looks right before moving on into the mouth. What I'm doing is I'm drawing two lines that are coming in from the highest line that I can find in that area of the nose. And that's going to indicate, again, the front plane versus the quarter plane. So in a video like this, I'm not going to have enough time to really dig into each of the planes, but it's important to note that those two lines will really indicate where the lips actually point forward versus the other two planes where they actually point somewhere between the side and the front. You'll notice that on the side of the mouth that is faced furthest away from us, the pinch of those two lines is much tighter versus the other side. So those angles are going to be significantly more sharper and flatter. I think the number one mistake is that people tend to draw the mouth a little too forward facing. When it's at this extreme of an angle, that one side is going to be significantly shorter and the angles are going to be a lot wider. So now comes in a curved line just underneath the lip, and that is going to indicate a separation between the chin and the bottom lip. So the underplane of the lip is always pointing down, and it's 99.9% in shadow. I'm going to now connect the cheek line over into the lips and then shade in the entire side of the face. And that really helps to give the form dimension. In real life, all of these lines are significantly softer, but we need something that's really concrete for us to look at to first understand what it is that we're actually attempting to draw when we draw the head. I am going to bring in a little bit of detail on the ear, but again, I can't stress this enough. Bringing in too much attention over towards the ear starts to make the focus something other than the face, because we can't focus on both at the same time. The ear is just too far from the head, or from the features of the head, I should say, from the face. So now I'm using a blending stump. I love the blending stump because it really cleans up the drawing, and I'm going to go through this just to get a little bit more depth and richness to my pencil. And once I have that, that pretty much wraps up this drawing session. So having done some cleanup work, I'm going to end this session by giving you some basic proportions that by now should be memorized from the previous videos, but it's definitely worth a review. The eyeline lands halfway between the head. So as you can see, I took a quick measurement and I'm going to mark it down. So that's roughly halfway through. Sometimes it's slightly higher, sometimes it's slightly lower, and then depending on the angle of the head, it may move even more. But if someone's facing you, it's going to be somewhere around halfway through their entire head. The nose Down to the chin is going to be your first third, then your second third from the base of the nose all the way through into the brows. And then from the brows to almost the top of the head, right where it turns, that's going to be your hairline. So we'll mark that down as well. And that's going to count as your final third of the head. I'll mark up the other side of the head so that you guys can see how it relates to the ear, because that actually counts as 1/3 of the head as well, and it's going to be the space between the brow and the nose. I want to thank everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe, and if you felt that this video was helpful to you, kindly share it with someone else.